Hello, and welcome to another episode of Shine Like a North Star. I'm so glad you can join us tonight. If you're with me live, just hashtag live. And if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay. I'd love to just know when you're checking in and what the energy is around this wonderful episode tonight of making your life easier by exploring how when we control less, the better things go. Hello, everyone. I'm Carrie Burchell. I am the proud president of North Star Coaching, and we do these episodes once a week called Shine Like a North Star. These episodes are based entirely on my interactions with leaders, both in the consulting and just casual conversation with leaders that I do throughout the week. So you continue to be an inspiration. Thank you. I would love to know other topics, so feel free to email me personally or chat in the chat box about how things are going for you and what some of the interests and topics you have that you want us to explore on Shine Like a North Star. I'm also really excited to say it's a hot mess behind me right now. That part is not exciting to say, but I'm in the midst of recreating my live streaming studio here in my home office, and I am so excited to see what that looks like. I belong to a community that's way better at this stuff than I am, and I don't know if anybody knows Sarah Steele. She's an artist, does some lovely work. She is helping me kind of figure out colors and matching and a ton of stuff that is just not my expertise. So over time, you will see an improvement back here. I've even played around with turning this lamp on, but it just is glaring. So I've got to move that around too. So anyway, the only distraction ahead though is really if the dog barks at someone driving by the house. I think we're pretty set because my dog's super chill. Okay, let's dive into it. The less you control, the better things go. This is really morphed out of some coach training I was doing recently with a group of leaders. And if you know anything about coaching, it really stems from two foundational skills. The first one is the ability to actively listen, because what people say is not typically what they mean to say out of the gate anyway. They need to hear themselves talk before they sort of land on what they really want to say. Coaching helps that process. I do that all the time with my clients. The second skill in coaching is the ability to ask really intuitive questions to help the person figure out where they need to go next. Those coaching skills, you're getting it, are how we control less. So, in true coaching, which is what I was training these leaders on, you're not leading the coachee to come up to a conclusion that you think would help, which is so hard because coaches typically love people, want to help people, are inspired by progress. That's definitely my definition. That fits me to a T. And it's really hard not to jump in and fix and lead and direct people that are struggling or trying to figure something complex out or working through something because you care about them. And actually, if you were to direct, lead, help them see something from what you see, it's not really helpful because then it becomes your journey and not theirs. So when this group of coaches in training came back, their homework assignment, amongst other things, was to really intentionally actively listen to friends, family, coworkers. And it was so powerful when one of the leaders came back and said, my employee came to me with a problem and I just kept saying, so you think it's X? Well, no, it's not really X. It's more like this. Oh, so you think it's more like that? Well, kind of, but if this really changed, it would be better. Oh, so you think that needs to change? Well, I mean, yeah, it needs to change. Oh, and then we can flip into the second skill of asking questions. How can you help that change? Well, I could really this. And then the leader was saying that their employee kind of got excited because they felt empowered and engaged with, oh, maybe I can do this. And the leader reporting out of the coach training was saying, it was like straight, I didn't have to do anything. I'm even smiling thinking about kind of this surprise that the leader had when we control less and how much better it went for that employee. So if you've seen the last couple of episodes of not being an asshole, you can see that these skills of controlling less really align nicely with that. So part of not being an asshole is not answering their questions that triangulate you. So in this example of the person in training, when the employee came up, the leader very easily could have said, well, you should this and this and this, and kind of controlled the direction of the work. Thankfully, the leader didn't. Had the leader controlled the direction of the work, the employee would have left and, obviously done what the leader thought best. I shouldn't say obviously, because not all employees are that cooperative. Probably done what the leader thought was best, and then resented the leader because it wasn't a strategy that the leader wanted it, or that the employee wanted. It wasn't what the employee would have done because, of course, they're in the trench, they know the best. It wasn't a mitload of other things. So that idea of not controlling everything really positions the employee for empowerment and engagement, and also positions the leader not to be the scapegoat when it doesn't go perfectly. So there's a couple of times when this sort of work is perfect, these skills of controlling less. If you're a bit flexible on how you want the outcome to go, so I use a very high level beach analogy. Let's say to someone, hey, I want you to build a sandcastle in this box, and it needed to be 2 levels high. Outside of that, who cares? You could build a square sandcastle, you could build it with a moat, you could build it round. It just had to be 2 layers. Great. I just wanted a sandcastle. It doesn't matter beyond that. So when you have some flexibility in how things go, that's great. If you're, for example, helping someone figure out how to run a report, that kind of report language is exact. There is one right way to do it. That is not a time where you control less, right? That's where you really help people be exact and get everything in place so that your report running works, right? So you want to think through and pull out different leadership strategies when they are appropriate and when they feel like they're going to work. So one of them is in those opportunities where you have some flexibility about the outcome. Another one is where you see an employee underperforming or underutilizing their talents, is a more romantic way of saying that. So engaging staff can really rotate around, pulling them into their talents. You know a lot about this. How can you use that? I hear your frustration around these things, and I also know that you have these talents. And really slowing people down to be heard and think about how they can leverage their skills. So that idea of not controlling things is great when you're flexible. It's also great when your employee is not using all of their talents as well as they could, because it forces you not to take it on, forces the employee to engage. Otherwise, they're going to keep bumping their head against that challenge. Asking these questions and actively listen also help in identifying the true problem. So this is the irony, number 2 in today's session. We get promoted because we're good at being worker bees. And so our tendency is to keep doing what we're good at, which is the worker bee stuff. And we can very quickly disempower an employee from doing the worker bee stuff because, well, I'm good at doing it and I've had a crappy day. So I'm just going to do stuff I feel good about. Thank goodness. Like, this is not stressful for me. I'm just going to do worker bee stuff, get it done, move it out. Right? It feels satisfying actually when you're a leader and everything's gray and messy and nebulous and it's human dynamics all over the place. Yuck. So we slip into the worker bee mode sometimes as leaders because we know we're good at it and it just feels good to get stuff done. Right? So be aware of those tendencies in yourself. Every leader has them. And say, gosh, this is messy. I'm going to slow down and not jump to the fix, because the fix isn't really what's going to sustain here over time. So 3 strategies. 1, when you have flexibility. 2, when an employee is maybe not utilizing all of their talents. And 3, when you need to slow down to get clarity around the messiness of what's going on. In all of those circumstances, it is way better to control less, and you'll win a ton more. That's what I have for you tonight on Shine Like a North Star. Please follow my YouTube page, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm starting some fantastic work with leaders across the nation in a leadership academy where we come together and we really think through what's our next step and next evolution as a leader, and what that means in shifting our own behavior and leaning into some stuff that we might have a tendency to avoid or work around. So if you're interested in that kind of work too, let's connect. I'll be sending out some more stuff on a bunch of different social media platforms for us to connect if you want to do that work. Super cool to hear how leaders across the nation are challenged by some of the same stuff, even though we're in different industries and different states. It's just fun. All right. With that, everybody take care, be safe, and we'll see you next week for Shine Like a North Star.